I feel like there's a really challenging aspect of the late diagnosed autistic experience that just isn't really talked about enough. And it's probably because it is so challenging and so difficult and so vulnerable. And it's the grief and sort of ego death that comes along with receiving a late autism diagnosis. I was diagnosed with autism when I was 23 years old. And up to that point in my life, I lived my life as an autistic person, not knowing I was autistic. And then when I realized that I was actually on the autism spectrum, I feel like it gave me a roadmap for my entire life. It helped me understand things that I was always so confused about, things that I was always ashamed about, things that I just didn't understand about myself and about the world. And also at the same time, I did feel quite a bit of grief. I felt sad for my younger self because he tried so hard. He tried so hard to fit in. He tried so hard to be understood. He tried so hard to figure himself out, all while thinking that something was wrong with him. And I felt grief for my future. My future isn't going to look exactly how I thought it would when I thought that I was neurotypical. As I let my mask down and as I continue to learn more about my autism and about who I really am beneath all the camouflaging, beneath the facades, beneath the layers that I have imposed on myself to try to fit into this world, I realize now that there were so many things that I said yes to and so many things that I did just because that's what I thought I had to do. But in return, I felt so overwhelmed. I felt so anxious. I felt so disconnected. I felt so overstimulated. And now, as I design my life going forward, there are going to be some things that are going to be different about my future for this exact reason. The future that I had in mind for myself was the future that society had projected onto me. Now I'm starting to learn my limits. I'm realizing all the things that just didn't work for me, things that left me feeling completely burnt out and drained and helpless and hopeless. And there is a little bit of grief in that because it's not that the autism diagnosis necessarily changes who you are, but it gives you that permission to be even more yourself, which also means unlearning all of the things that you thought you knew about yourself that were actually things that were pushed onto you. As you unmask and as you become even more aligned with who you are, you'll also realize that there's going to be people who you don't resonate with anymore. You might notice some skills that you had start to regress a little bit. And this can be a cause for feeling sadness or grief, for feeling even a little bit ashamed about yourself. I've worked through a lot of those emotions in therapy, and I'm realizing now that it's okay. I am worthy the way that I am, despite all of those things, despite me not being who I thought I would be, despite me not being what society tells me I need to be. And I do feel like this will be a continued lifelong practice of unlearning and then relearning so that I can be more aligned, so that I can be happier, so that I can be more myself.